All right, everyone, welcome to the Astrology for Parents Masterclass. This is such a passion of mine. I have been in process of researching, working with parents all around the world, helping them with their children, whether they're age 3 to 33. And the day has finally come where we get to dive in. So I hope you're ready. Grab a pen and paper. If you have your child's birth chart handy, make sure you grab it. You can take some notes around some of the things that we're going to talk about today. There is so much to cover when it comes to astrology. So you're going to get a really beautiful introduction and also some awareness of how astrology can make parenting 10 times easier. So are you ready? Let's discover your child's blueprint. And this is a thing that I started to notice when I first began my astrology practice. Parents would come to me and say, I'm having struggles with my child when it comes to learning. I'm having struggles with my children as siblings getting along, or even estranged parents who are dealing with adult children. And they're like, I just wish I had answers. And so most parents, when their child is born, wish that their child came with an instruction manual. And now with astrology, we can recognize that they do. They come with this blueprint, this energetic blueprint. So I like to always start out with, especially if you're new to astrology, giving you some concepts around how the birth chart actually works when it comes to your child. So in astrology, we believe that we're these souls that come to Earth school, right? And we have to choose a physical form. So your child was born and it was born into a body, their Earth vehicle. And when they're born, they take their first breath, right? Most parents and caretakers remember that exact moment when baby was born. They inhaled, they took their first breath. You heard them cry for the first time. But what was energetically happening in that moment is your child took in their first breath and they inhaled the energy of the cosmos. And I get goosebumps just thinking about this because it's so magical and it happens to each one of us. You inhale the placements of all the planets and all the stars and where they were in that exact moment of your birth, your date, place, your date, time, and that exact placement, right? Birth date, birth place, birth time. Inhale. That becomes your energetic blueprint. That is how you operate. So when we look at children, the moon represents their emotions and Mercury is their mind and how they're going to think. All the planets have different ways in which they manifest in our energetic body. And so when we're looking at a baby's birth chart, we start to learn so much about them before they can even communicate that to us. Now, I want you to think about yourself as an adult, right? If someone comes to you and says, well, how do you think? And what do you love? And how do you grow? It's hard for us, even as humans, to put words, language to what it is we feel inside. We see this in relationships very often, right? And so even as adults, it's hard for us to communicate who we are. It takes us a lifetime to figure that out, and oftentimes months and years in therapy. Your birth chart gives us the language. So you can start to understand your child long before they understand themselves and long before they're able to even communicate it with you. This is the magic of astrology. So with that, I want you to recognize, and I'm sure as parents, you're already noticing this, that our world is starting to change, right? It's not like it was when we were children. It's more complex. Every single day, there's new things happening, whether it comes to AI, job potentials, college and education systems changing. Like the world is changing. And a lot of times when I'm working with parents, they're really struggling on how to navigate this as they're raising their children. The blueprint of what we use or what our parents use for us doesn't really work anymore. It's not like go to school, go to college, get a job, everyone's happy, right? This is essentially now a new world. And astrology enters in and helps you give guidance to your child from a young age. And this can alter the course of their life. And I see this all the time when I'm working with parents in a one-on-one setting. So starting out right in the off the bat, you're in the right place if any of this is going on in your parent-child dynamic. You're struggling to understand your child. You're struggling with their learning behaviors. You're struggling to get them to do chores. You're struggling with building connection with them. You're in the right place if you want to best support your child's growth. And I'm assuming that's already the case. And that's why you're interested in astrology or you're interested in just learning a little bit in this masterclass. Understanding your child's birth chart placements can help you foster their growth in a way that accelerates their success. And you'll see why as we go through this course. You're in the right place if you're having challenging communication. This is the number one frustration I hear from parents in one-on-one sessions. They're speaking to their child and it's not resonating. It's not landing. They're struggling with getting their child to do their chores. They're struggling when it comes to teaching their children things in homework assignments. We're going to go through all of that today. And you're in the right place if you can't decide how to move forward in your parenting journey. Oftentimes, people come to astrology after reading all the traditional self-help parenting books, probably started when you were expecting, the what to expect when you're expecting, and then listening to parenting advice. And all that traditional stuff doesn't take into account that your child is unique, one of a kind. Their birth chart is like a thumbprint. It is so tailored for who they are and who they're meant to be as a soul in this world. And you're in the right place if you're coming up to a point in your child's life where you're needing to make a massive decision for them. This is also a key time when parents come to me. Let's say their child is about to graduate from high school and their child doesn't want to go to college. And they're like, I need to know in their chart if not going to college is meant for them, right? And so essentially, this is a key piece of information that we can discover when it comes to their child's life path. What are they supposed to do at what times? Major decisions, whether it's schooling. This is another one too, and we'll talk more about this, is, what kind of school system is good for your children? Not all children are meant to be homeschooled, and not all children are meant to be in a traditional environment. So we'll get into all of that. So moving on, let me see. I'm going to mute some people. Give me 1 second. I hear some noise. Okay, perfect. So who this is for? Now, I do want to take a moment to clarify this because I say astrology for parents, but it's not just parents, okay? Grandparents, teachers, caretakers, anyone that works with children can start to learn the birth chart of a child and tailor their approach as we relate to children. I am not a parent, but I feel like a astro auntie to all the children on this planet, because once you understand a child's birth chart, you're going to be able to tap into different key pieces of who they are. And it's for children who are newborn, like maybe not even born yet, but you can look at the time frame of when they're going to be born, all the way to adult children. Okay, so everything that you learn can be applied to not only children, but even yourself, because you are a child of the world as well. So moving on, let's get into the good stuff. So for those of you who don't know who I am, let me give you just a real quick introduction. I'm Mandy Rose. I go by the relational astrologer. I use the lens of astrology. I use my own unique method when I'm looking at birth charts, when I'm talking about the cosmic weather, because ultimately my mission is to help you have the best relationships in all areas of your life. I find that this is the most important aspect of being human, is having healthy, happy relationships. It's connected to all aspects of our life, whether it's our work life and our coworkers, our romantic life and our marriage partners, and our children or family members. And so this is really my passion. And I also got a bachelor in psychology. I've always been interested in personal development. I wanted to be a therapist. So this is how I'm doing it, just in a different modern world way. And most importantly, I am a Virgo sun. So you're going to see my Virgo-ness shine all over this masterclass, the course, and anytime you interact with me. I'm here to be of service. I'm here to make your life better, to improve your life. I'm very perfectionistic. I love details. I love to give you all the information so you have it at your disposal. I am a Cancer moon, and you'll learn with your child and within yourself that your moon sign is the most important thing that we share with other humans. Because once you learn someone's moon sign, you will know exactly how to make them feel safe, secure, and comfortable. Today, I brought my grandmother Rose's teacup with me to this masterclass. She was a Cancer sun. My mother is also a Cancer sun. And so the way they shine and the way that they radiated upon me as a child my entire life made my Cancer moon feel very safe. It's beautiful compatibility when you have a certain sun sign and someone in your life has that exact same moon sign. And again, we'll go through all of that more in this masterclass. And lastly, I am a Scorpio rising. So if you are a fellow Scorpio rising, hello, we see the world in the exact same way. And this allows me to kind of show up and go into deep, uncomfortable, taboo topics with you. And that often tends to be parenting and your struggles and your frustrations around it. So let's get into it. What is relational astrology specifically? So if you're new to astrology, it's okay. We're going to break it down. You're going to make sense of it today. But specifically, relational astrology is a lens of astrology that I have kind of created with my own unique method, because I believe that relationships are just energy. We make them very complex, and I want you to think about your child and you. and your child and your significant other, or your child and a teacher, or your child with their siblings, the relationships are all different because each one of us, going back to my example, inhaled our first breath. We all have our own unique energetic blueprint. And so we operate in relationships from our own energetic perspective. What we like, what we value, what motivates us, what we're attracted to, what makes us feel comfortable, all the different key pieces of our birth chart make us who we are. And so when we're in relationship with someone, we're blending these energies. And we're understanding this so we can give grace to the person in front of us, and we can acknowledge what it is that they energetically need. So when it comes to your child, you're able to understand that they are their own unique vibration, and to meet them there instead of trying to twist them and turn them into what you think they should be, or what society is trying to mold them to be, or really kind of not knowing and you're unaware in moving your child away from their authentic blueprint. We're all meant to be born exactly who we are, and relational astrology acknowledges that. So you're going to love that perspective, especially as a parent or a caretaker when it comes to your child. So here's some things that we're going to cover today. We're going to try to keep it short and sweet. I know as parents, you guys are busy. So I'm just grateful if you're here live with me today, but you're going to learn so much. And then there'll be more and more resources for you to dive in even deeper. So we're going to cover real quick, what is a birth chart? If you don't know about astrology, again, I got you. I'm going to show you how to look up a birth chart. So I have my own unique way of mapping out your child's chart that's going to make it make way more sense than if you're just using an app. We're going to learn about the planets today. So this is really what we're going to dive into, is the placements in your child's chart, what they represent, and what it can reveal to you, and how they can actually make parenting easier. And then we're going to discover some other aspects about the chart. You're going to learn a little bit about your child's development and how astrology and cycles of astrology impact your child's development. This is like mind-blowing. And then we're going to learn a little bit about my baby, the Astrology for Parents course. And I'm going to sneak peek you into a couple of the modules. So just so you know, all that goodness is coming. And lastly, I want to leave some time at the end for questions and answers. So if you have questions, keep them handy. I'm going to ask for a couple of examples as we go along today. So grab your chat, have that open. You can drop in your child's placements. And then at the end, we will definitely have time for a Q&A. So birth chart. What is that birth chart? I already kind of previewed this, so let's go through it one more time. This is what the birth chart looks like down here. This birth chart is the moment your child was born, the moment someone took their first breath. So birth time is extremely important. If you don't know the birth time, your child's adopted, you were adopted for some reason, it wasn't recorded, it's okay. I help people with rectification charts all the time, and you can still learn so much without the time. But that's the moment that we inhaled and became who we're meant to be. Now, one thing I want you to remember is that's just a snapshot. It's just a screenshot of that exact moment in time. But from that second forward, all the planets continue to move. Everything's in constant motion. And so at the moment of your child's birth, their path was already laid out. Their soul chose to come into this human form at that exact moment, knowing that the planets were going to keep moving, and that Saturn was going to be in a certain area of the chart when they were age 30, and that Mars was going to be at a certain area of the chart when they were 18, and Jupiter and all the other planets are going to keep activating them, teaching them lessons, and moving them through their life journey. This is where that astro forecasting comes in, and looking at timing. And again, gives you another key piece into your child as they age. What is happening to them? Why is it happening to them? What am I supposed to do about it? How I'm going to help them move forward or move through these lessons. So the birth chart is a screenshot in time, and it's being impacted constantly as the planets are moving around the sky, or AKA impacting us each uniquely energetically. So how to find the chart, I'm not going to go through that right here, right now, but you're going to collect these 3 key pieces of information. And then I love to use astro.com. And I have on my YouTube channel, The Relational Astrologer, I have a video under the Astrology 101 playlist, and it looks like this as the cover graphic. I walk you through it step by step, pulling it up so the chart looks exactly like this. The reason I love the chart looking like this is for a couple reasons. Number one, it's going to use whole sign systems. I use Tropic, Western astrology, and whole sign systems. if you're pulling up a chart on like the apps like CoStar or some of the other ones, it usually does what's called Placidus system, and it can make it very complex. I've seen parents come to me with like just a screenshot that they got off the internet, and they're like, wait, you're talking about this and it doesn't make sense, or they have two zodiac signs in one house and da da da. Whole sign systems, it's going to streamline it, it's going to simplify it. And after reading hundreds of charts, I'm telling you, whole sign system proves to be the most accurate. So this type of formula to calculate your child's chart is going to streamline it. And the second reason I love it so much is because as you're learning astrology, it's hard to remember like what does Libra mean and what does Capricorn mean? And even if you know astrology, it can be a little complex. So the way you pull up this chart, do you see how each zodiac sign has a different color? The colors represent the elements. And so if you could just break it down into elements, you can already start to understand your child's chart. So let me give you one example around this. So for this chart down here, you can see how this person's sun sign is in Capricorn. And you might be like, oh, I don't know exactly what Capricorn all means, but I know it's an earth sign. It's green. So I know that they're going to be grounded and practical and rational and realistic and all the earth vibrations versus, for example, they have a Venus in an air sign. So Venus is how we love. And so they're going to love through the lens of the mind, air, thoughts, communication, connection. You don't necessarily need to know what Aquarius means. That's like the layered piece of it. But the chart's already going to start to give you some understanding. The last thing I do want to say, using this modality to pull up your child's chart, I focus a lot when it comes on compatibility on missing and master elements. So when you know your child's master element, you're going to be able to understand the energetic profile that they have the most. Maybe their master element is fire. And I can like pick a fire master element child from a mile away. They are bold. They are sassy. They're going to tell you things that you're like, oh, I can't believe they said that. Very direct, very honest. They have a lot of heat. They're running around. They have a lot of stamina versus a master water child. I'm like, can spot that from a mile away, right? That's the kid that's sensitive and they're more intuitive and they're introverted and they're kind of, shy. Like both children are meant to be who they are. We're meant to have all four master element children on this planet. Imagine if every child was born a fire master, right? That would be wild. And so again, calculating it this way, you can start to see some of the master and missing elements in your child. And we dive so much more into that in the Astrology for Parents course, but more on that later. So going back to compatibility, okay, your chart versus your child's, this is going to be important. So as much as you want to dive into your child's chart, it's going to be important for you to understand your own astrology and your own chart because we're blending energies, right? And so your child is unique and you're going to look at them as their own energetic blueprint, but how you're interacting with them matters, right? And this is where I often see when I do family readings that the child may listen better to one parent versus the other. Because maybe the one parent's listening language, their Mercury, is in the same element as the child's. And the other parent has a different element, Mercury. And so the way they speak to the child just like doesn't hear and doesn't resonate with it. So it's going to be important to understand your chart versus your child's. Now, I used the example already, but I'm just going to share it one more time. Some of the best compatibility that I find, and this is really unique once you learn it about your child, and to kind of pay attention in the world as your child grows up and they develop and they start dating, your moon sign is the energy, again, that you inhaled in your first breath that dictates your emotional needs. It's what makes you feel safe and what makes you feel secure in this lifetime. And someone's sun sign is how they shine. It's how they radiate out into the world, whether you like it or not. Your sun sign cannot be dimmed. Therefore, if you don't like Virgo suns, like you're not going to like them. You can't change them. So with your child's moon sign, we're often gravitated to people with that exact same sun sign because naturally that's how they shine. And that's the energy that they put off into the world brightly and intensely. And so again, I mentioned with my mother being a Cancer sun, the way that she operates in this world, she shines and radiates Cancer energy into everything that she does. And my moon sign is Cancer. So I just immediately feel safe in her presence because of that sun sign compatibility. Now, this is not always the case. So I don't want you to feel like, oh my gosh, my child and my sun sign and moon sign are not compatible. There is no good or bad compatibility in astrology, at least not in relational astrology. It's the awareness of, and it's the understanding that you were born with all 12 zodiac sign energies. You inhaled all 12 energies at that moment of your birth. So you can tap in to the moon sign of your child and meet their emotional needs. That's what I'm going to teach you in the course. So don't worry if that's not a matchup, but pay attention as your child grows up, who they're like attracting as friends, who they're relating to, who they're getting into relationships with, even family members that have the sun sign of your child's moon sign, they tend to connect and vibe with. So really interesting. And I love to see that in family dynamics. Okay. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's do some mind blowing conversations around the planets. So I think of the planets as life coaches. This is part of my unique relational astrology method. Each planet teaches us different lessons in our lifetime. They guide us, they move us forward, and they rule over a specific area of our life. So here's how I think of it. As we journey through life, through Earth School, we have different mentors or different coaches, right? You might have a business coach, you might have a therapist, you might have a personal trainer. You have different people that kind of guide you on your path. And the planets operate in the same way. Each one rules over a different aspect of our child's life, and it imprints them into different thoughts and feelings and perspectives and preferences. And so understanding this will make your child make more sense, guaranteed. So we're going to go through all of the planets. Now, the sun, like I mentioned, is your child's vitality. It represents who I am, okay? Who your child is. The moon represents the emotions. It's how your child feels internally, that feeling system. Mercury is the mind. Just think of Mercury, mind. And it's representing how your child thinks, how I think, how I hear, how I speak, how I learn, how I listen. Venus represents the heart. And it's what your child loves, what your child finds beautiful and pleasurable and valuable. Mars symbolizes their chi, their fire, their masculine energy, their exertion of energy outwards. So it's how they act, which is so beautiful as a parent to know, right? We want to know, why is our children acting this way? This is how they throw their temper tantrums. Their Jupiter is how they grow. Jupiter is about growth and expansion and opportunity. Saturn represents the hardest stuff in life. It is the challenges, the obstacles that your kiddo will face. It's the structure and the type of discipline that they're going to need. And it represents how your child's going to achieve, how they're going to mature in this lifetime. Uranus is the rebel. Each one of us has a Uranus. Each one of us is meant to rebel on Earth, to be progressive, to be authentic, to be a little out of the box in some way. And so this is going to dictate how your child is going to rebel. What kind of rebellious nature are they going to have? And then Neptune is the energy around our dreams, what we're delusional about, what we imagine, our creative skills. So it's your dreamer child. And Pluto is how your child stands in their power, how they transform, how they face their fears, all of that hard things in life. Pluto is going to imprint upon your child. And then we have some other placements, and we're not going to talk about all the asteroids and all of that, but we have asteroids that indicate wounds that we're all born with. And the one that I like to focus on is Chiron. Chiron symbolizes in your child these fears, these vulnerabilities, these triggers that they were born with. You know, you're like, why is my kid so afraid of water? This doesn't make sense. We're a boating family. We go to the lake every weekend. My child is terrified of water. Their Chiron is going to explain that. It's the thing they're meant to heal in this lifetime. And if you believe in past lifetimes, it is the way in which we probably passed in a previous lifetime. And now we bring that fear into this lifetime. And then your child has a north and south node. And the north and south node indicate our destiny and the tendencies we're meant to leave behind. So your past life and your purpose. Now we're going to dive into all of this deeper. So if you're like, oh my gosh, that was so much I don't know, let's go even deeper. I like to introduce it once. I like to repeat things in different ways, especially when it comes to astrology, because it can be complex and there's layers to it. So let's go through it one by one. Your child's sun sign, okay? The zodiac sign your child was born in is the way in which they shine. And you probably already know this, right? Most parents know their child's sun sign. It's the season that they were born under. But what you probably don't realize and recognize is that your child's sun sign indicates so much about who they are in this lifetime. It's not just, oh, they're a Virgo sun, they're a Libra sun. Like, what does that mean? And how, as a parent, can you help guide them with that? So, their sun is how they're meant to shine. It is going to be their strengths, it's going to be their weaknesses, it's going to be their preferences, it's going to be what lights them up in this world. So drop your child's sun sign in the chat and I'll use a couple examples. I mentioned earlier, I'm a Virgo sun. So I shine, I illuminate when I get to organize, when I get to create things, when I get to be of service with people. If you know me personally, like I love being a Virgo. And my preferences is order and organization. I love to color code things. Like that's how I shine. So as a parent, you are not meant to dull your child's shine. Okay. We've all felt this in our life when someone tried to get us to stop being who we are, right? Who we are is our sun sign. And then that dulls us, that dims our light. Okay. So let me see here. We've got a Leo sun. Oh, I love that. So Leo sun children are meant to shine and be on stage. These are children that love to do like fashion shows when they're little. They love to sing. They love to perform. They love to dance. Like let them shine. Let them be center stage at the family functions. Let them kind of pull and draw attention. They love to be dramatic in all sorts of ways, whether they're coloring or whether they're hanging out with their friends or their birthday parties. Like they just want to be center stage. And so as parents, like let them, right? That Leo energy. How do we know what their sun sign is? Okay, really good question. So their sun sign is the season that they were born in. And when you look in their birth chart, this is going to be the symbol that you're going to be looking for in their birth chart. And then you'll see the symbol. We've got a Taurus sun. Let's use that one for example. So Taurus suns are really about stability and structure and luxuries. These are the type of children that light up and illuminate when you give them like a delicious meal, a comfy blanket. They're all about sensory experiences. So they love beautiful environments. They love, being out in nature. Like all that Taurus energy is really what lights them up. So go on nature walks with them, help them grow a garden, help them cook delicious foods. Like these are all preferences that they might have. And then each child has a shadow aspect. And so the Taurus shadow can be that they're a little stubborn, that they have a hard time with change. So if you need to switch their schooling or you need to switch their routines, you kind of have to give them a heads up over time. You got to let them know in a week, we're doing this. In 5 days, we're doing this. In 3 days, we're doing this. Like you got to prepare them. So each child's sun sign is going to come with strengths and their talents and how they're meant to shine. And it's going to come with some weaknesses. All right, we're going to move on. Stay close to the chat. If I didn't pick your child for this one, I might pick them for the next one, which I love. Again, talking about moon placements, I could talk about it for an entire masterclass and wait till you get to the course because your child's going to get like 10, 15 minutes on their moon sign placement. So the moon sign tells us, like I mentioned, what your child needs to feel safe and soothed. So here's how it works. Okay. And this is fantastic, especially when your child is just born and they're crying in the middle of the night. And you're like, how do I soothe them? How do I make them stop crying? Or they're at the grocery store having a full blown temper tantrum. And you're like, I don't know what to do, right? I don't know how to make them feel safe. I just want them to calm down. The moon sign is going to indicate what they need from you so they don't have an emotional meltdown. Okay. The zodiac energy of your child's moon is the energy that they need to feel safe, to feel soothed, to feel calm, to feel peaceful. When they don't get that energy, and same applies for us, when we don't get our moon sign energy met, it's going to push a button, right? We all have that little emotional trigger button. It gets pushed. And then what happens? We have an emotional reaction. We have an emotional response. And that's what's happening with your child. They didn't get this moon soothed. And now they're feeling their emotions. And the way in which they feel their emotions is going to be the element of their moon. It's going to be the element of their moon. And so a fire moon child, when they feel triggered, how do you think that emotion, energy in motion is going to come up and out? These are the child that feel fire when they're upset. They're the ones screaming and kicking and punching things and they're upset. Let them burn it out. It is the quickest way to soothe them is to let them burn that heat out and know that when it's out, just like a fire, when a fire is out, it's out. Mom, you might need some aloe. Dad, you might need some aloe when your child is done with their temper tantrum, but they feel soothed now because they felt it like fire. Our water sign, moon sign children, how do you think they're going to feel their emotions? They feel it like water. Like I'm a Cancer moon, I'm a water moon. So when I feel that trigger button, I feel like I'm drowning. I will sob for hours sometimes about nothing. I just feel that emotion like water. It's just pouring over me. And these are our children that are sensitive, they're emotional, they're intuitive, like they feel all the feels. You have your air moon children, and your air moon children are going to be the ones that ruminate and they think and they ask why, and they're trying to calculate how they should feel. And then they need to have lots of conversations. If your child is an air moon and they're having a meltdown, you got to talk to them. You got to talk to them. You got to explain it to them. You got to ask them how they're feeling. Like it's this whole process of communication for them to kind of feel and move through their emotions. And then our earth moon children, those are the children that seem like calm as a cucumber. Like they don't really get upset. I know parents like have this flex where they're like, oh, my child is like such a calm baby. My child is so like great. Like they don't ever cry. Probably our earth moon babies. And I'll tell you something about any earth moon that you ever meet on planet Earth, whether they are 3 or 83. When they are upset, you better take it seriously because they rationalized away 95% of their emotions. And when they're upset, they're upset. And they usually have a hard time being upset or having emotions because they don't feel like it's purposeful. They don't feel like they're being responsible. They're afraid of losing control. And so, again, great info to know about your child because this is something that you are dealing with as a parent on a day-to-day level. Making them feel seen and heard in their emotions and being able to know this about them, but most importantly, teach this to them so that they know how to soothe themselves. Our moon also indicates how we can soothe ourselves. I know as a Cancer moon, I need to hermit. I need to go into my crab shell. I need to be alone. I need to have a sanctuary to feel my feelings in privacy, and then I can express them, right? Once your child ends up dating, this is like where the magic begins. They're going to have these types of awareness. And my goal as a relational astrologer, by the time I am done with my mission, every person on planet Earth will understand the importance of their moon sign and they will be able to communicate it to the person in front of them so we can all just get along better. And lastly, wherever your child's moon sign falls in their birth chart, AKA what house or area of life, and we'll get more into that, indicates where they are most emotionally invested. So if your child has a moon sign in the second house represents money. These are children that need some sort of financial security in order to feel safe and soothed. Applies more as they get older, but you'll notice that like when they get old enough to have a job and they are having financial issues, and that's when their emotions are really stimulated, okay? So really interesting key piece. Just that alone as a parent can solve so many problems. And then in the Astrology for Parents course, we're going to dive in deeper what it means if your child is born under a new or a full moon. Not all of us were born under a new or full moon. Most likely we were born in some sort of waning or waxing phase. But if you're born under a new moon, you're great with new beginnings. You're great at fresh starts. And if you're a full moon person, not only do you thrive under full moons and totally envious of you, but you also have the ability to kind of shed and cleanse and release a little bit easier. So drop your child's moon sign if you know their element or if you know their zodiac sign. And I'll use a couple examples. And lastly, I'm going to share with you what it means if your child was born under an eclipse. And I have a video I made on my socials. So the Relational Astrologer on Instagram or TikTok, I made a video on how to find out if your child was born under an eclipse once you pull up their chart. But eclipse babies are so special, okay? And if you're one, like, whoa, because eclipses are portals, really easy portals in and out of this lifetime. After doing so many readings with children who have eclipse placements, and my partner is an eclipse baby, and I see this play out in his entire life as we've been together almost 6 years. Eclipse babies are either here for a very specific purpose. They're here to eclipse things in and out of this life. They're here to make massive, powerful shifts, or they slipped through the portal and they were like, whoopsie, I guess I'm on Earth. What am I doing here? And they just like are those babies that like don't want a life. They just don't want to be a part of reality. They're just like, they just fell into Earth school. And so it's really fascinating to see that. So let's use this example. We've got a mama with 3 water sign moons and then a air moon. So that's fascinating. Four littles, and of the four littles, three have water moons. And so a household filled with emotions, when one child is probably upset, it probably energetically affects the next child who's a sensitive moon sign, and then ripples into the third child. So if one's having a meltdown, more than likely they're probably all having a meltdown. And the Libra moon child, interesting because this child probably doesn't feel as emotional, but they also really need to be having a lot of conversations with you when they're emotional. So it's going to be key to talk to these children, to ask questions, how they're feeling. So your air moon child definitely needs probably a little bit more attention to not be left out. We've got an Aquarius moon child. Okay, here's the dealio with our Aquarius moon children. Aquarius is a moon sign that's very detached. They don't seem to have a lot of emotions, but what they are emotional about are things that are happening in the future. And so, where you start to notice where your child might get a little upset with an Aquarius moon is if you're not telling them what's happening tomorrow, next week, you're not giving them heads up on events and activities, you're kind of just throwing things upon their plate, because what they need for safety, security, and comfort is understanding of the future. They need to like have a calendar, they need to be told what's going on at school tomorrow. Like, future is what makes them feel safe and secure and comfortable. And so that's going to be really important for Aquarius moon children. My Virgo moon, let's use the last example. A Virgo moon child, in order to make them feel safe, secure, and comfortable, they need organization. They need structure. They need routines. They need a room that has like boxes for them to put things in. Chaos in the household, disorder in the household is going to make your child very emotionally sensitive. Virgo moon children need a clean, hygienic environment. It's going to be very important for you to keep the kitchen clean, to keep the living room clean. And I know they might come in and mess it up, but as the parent, to create that safe, stable environment where everything has a place and there's routines in place, like every day you're cooking dinner at 6 o'clock, like you really got to tap into the rhythm and the routines to keep their emotions very safe. And of course, there's so many more moon placements we could talk about. And I will in the Astrology for Parents course, can't do it all in a 1 hour masterclass. Okay, Mercury placement. Second most important thing as a parent to understand about your child. Mercury is their mind. Mercury is the information is coming in. How are they hearing you? Their listening language. Okay, you could be saying something to two children and one hears you and one ignores you, right? How they hear you, how they process that information. When I'm speaking right here, right now, I know there's 12 different ways, 12 different Mercury zodiac signs, 12 different ways in which people are hearing the same sentence out of my mouth, how they are processing and remembering, downloading, memory, that information. And then how your child speaks, writes, expresses, communicates with other people, the tone and the language that they're going to use. So when it comes to your child's schooling, the type of schooling that they need, this is their Mercury placement. It's the environment that they need. It's how they need to be spoken to. It's how they think. It's what they like to learn about. What are they drawn to learn about? And it's how they're connecting with other people. So some people like to connect via writing letters, right? And some people like to connect just by sitting next to someone. They don't even need to use any words. They just want to be in the presence of someone. So when it comes to your child's Mercury placement, you can look at the element. You can start with the element and kind of see, if they're a fire Mercury, those are going to be the children that are bold and direct and honest, and they kind of have loud tones and they yell a lot. And you're like, inside voices, calm down, right? Or you might have a child with a water Mercury. And so they're actually not hearing what you're saying. They're feeling how you're saying it, right? So it's more about the vibration and the energy in which you're connecting and communicating. And for those children, you need to whisper, need to talk to them in calm tones. You might have children with an air Mercury. Oh, those are the kids that are like, why? What are you doing? Where are you going? They want to know all the details. And your earth Mercury children, you got to keep it straight. You got to keep it to the facts. They don't want the details. They don't want the fluff, like straight to the point. What matters? Give them the info, leave it at that. And so this is such a beautiful, and I'm going to give you one example. Throw your child's Mercury placements in the chat while I give you this example. I had a parent that came to me that was struggling with her child's schooling. And she really felt like it was the teachers or it was the course curriculum. She couldn't figure it out. And she had seen therapists. She had spoken to the school counselor. She had put him on some ADHD medication. She's tried everything. And then she got connected with me and we dove into her child's Mercury placement. We spent 30 minutes just going into this placement in their child's chart. And what she recognized is that her child had a Mercury in Pisces, very intuitive, very sensitive. And when he goes to school, he's picking up the environment of all the other children and the mood of the teacher and the loud noise and the busy classrooms. And it was too much that like his brain was almost just shutting down, just could not focus because the feelings were coming in too strong through his mind. And so she put him in like a Montessori style schooling. She couldn't teach him herself in homeschool. So she found this other environment that was very conducive to his Mercury and Pisces placement, where he could use his skills, his mind of creativity and of imagination and creation. And that was way more impactful for his particular birth chart. And then she reported back 6 months later. And it's just like, I love hearing those success stories because she altered the course of her child's life just by one tweak to his learning environment. Now, some children are going to thrive in public schooling. Like they've got a Mercury and Libra and they just want to connect and they want to communicate and they want to be around a bunch of friends and they need different stimulation every day. But not every child is the same, right? Okay, so we got a Mercury in Leo. She also, oh, so I think you said Mercury or Sun in Leo and a Mercury in Leo. So struggling at school and she hates it. So here's the thing, a Mercury in Leo child, when it comes to schooling, they roar. They're loud. They don't want to shut up. They want to be the center of attention. And that's not always the way it works in school. They're told to sit down. They're told to be quiet. Everyone gets a gold star. She's not recognizing or hearing language of how amazing she is, how talented she is, praising her, recognizing her, right? Because public schooling is really around like everyone wins. And she needs more like individual attention. At least when she comes home, you can really kind of tap into her Mercury and Leo and praise her and recognize her. And there's that energy of like wanting to perform. So even like schools where there's a lot of talent shows, debate clubs, like things where she can kind of be on stage might really kind of help. So finding those extracurriculars where she can shine and radiate in that Leo energy will help her, especially when it comes to like the boring, mundane tasks that she's really not interested in. Let's see here. We've got a Scorpio Mercury child. So here's the deal. I'm so glad you threw this out there because anyone with a Scorpio Mercury is an internal investigative detector. Like they are quiet, but they are watching. They're paying attention to everything. So with this placement, if your child has this placement, never betray their trust. If they tell you something in confidence, you got to keep it like mum's the word, lock that lips because they will never trust you again if you ever betray them because they kind of protect their mind. They protect their secrets, really kind of leaning in when they're at that age where there's some secrets that they don't know if they should share with you. As soon as they start sharing personal things with you, you got to take that to the grave. Super important with Mercury, Scorpio children as they get older. Okay, I'd love to go through all the examples, but we still got a lot of planets to go through and not a lot of time. So let's keep it moving. Venus. Venus is how your child loves. So important when it comes to their love language. And most people know about the Gottman's love language. This takes it to the next level. Because if I say you love gifts, what kind of gifts, right? Is it like a spa day or is it like a Tupperware, collection? Like what kind of gifts? Your child's Venus placement is how they want to be loved by you. What makes them feel loved, appreciated, valued, special. And it's also how they're going to love others. So how they show love. It's what they find beautiful, right? It's what they prioritize in their life. And so this is so beautiful when I see parents being able to tap into their child's Venus placement. And it really helps us see their creative skills. How do they express their creativity? How do they create beauty in this world, right? Some children, it's like building things, and some children, it's like writing a poem. And so it kind of like nurtures and fosters their creative talents and is how they build relationships. And not only the relationship with you as you're meeting their love language and you're making them feel special and appreciated, but ultimately when they get to the age where they start loving other people, right? They get into their dating phases. And so being able to nurture them through that dating phase or that transition where they're curious about, their next romantic partner, the Venus placement is going to be super important to kind of foster them into that energy. And on the flip side, your child's Mars placement, so important. Okay. Mars represents our internal energy, our chi, our stamina, and our vitality. Some children have so much freaking energy. You're like, where do they get this from? More likely, they have a Mars in Aries or a Mars in Scorpio. Eternal chi, eternal fire. But they may have a Mars in Cancer or Pisces, and therefore they're a little bit more passive. They're not motivated. They don't have a lot of energy. They like to lay around on the couch. They love to relax. They just want to be cuddled. Like they're motivated to more snuggles and kisses and, quiet times indoors versus running around outside. When I work with parents and we understand their child's Mars placement, it really helps them understand their child. It understands what they're motivated. So when it comes to getting your child to do chores, to do their homework, to do things that they don't want to do, if you can motivate them based on their Mars sign, I'm telling you, you're going to be able to get them to do things. It's not about motivation. It's about knowing what their drive is. And so, for example, my partner has this Mars in Sagittarius. So in order to motivate him to plan dates or to do romantic things for me, it's got to be a game. It's got to be exciting. There's got to be a sense of adventure. Like there's got to be a quest that like some sort of quest that he's on where there's going to be some sort of destination. That's how I motivate him in a romantic partnership. But your child, it can be the same way. If you're motivating them in a certain way to get their chores done, they're going to get off the couch and do it. It also shows how they have temper tantrums, how they're exerting this energy, their fighting style, what they'll go to bat for, what they're going to fight for. If your child's having a lot of behavioral issues, Mars placement is understanding this. How they're acting out at school is going to understand. Now, I know a lot of what I'm saying is kind of like, but isn't that the moon sign? They tie together. When your child is triggered emotionally because they didn't get their moon sign met, they're going to have their emotional button pushed. They're going to feel an emotion, right? We all feel our feelings. And then we act on those feelings. We all do it, especially children when they're younger. So how they act out when they're feeling emotional is going to be their Mars sign. And so in romantic relationships, we often see this as like when someone is feeling a feeling, they're triggered, they fight in a certain way. So this is so important for parents as well. Now I'm going to go through just a couple other really quick placements, and we're going to get into some timing and cycles of your child's life. Your child's Jupiter placement is going to help you understand how they grow and learn the best. And I know that kind of correlates with Mercury, but this is really about how they expand, how they grow, how they want to be nurtured and taught by other people. It's also their luck placement. So where in their life they're going to get extremely lucky, and fostering that so that they keep getting these opportunities and they keep growing is going to be absolutely beautiful as a parent. Jupiter is also going to indicate where they take things to the extremes. Each one of us has a Jupiter placement where we kind of go too much. We overindulge in certain ways. And so this is a lesson for your child. This is a lesson where they have to learn to do the things that they love, but also not take it to the extremes. And last but not least, Jupiter really helps us understand in a child how they view the world, their beliefs, what they find true, like their perspective on the world. And because each child, as they grow up, especially when they get to age 12, 13, they go through a Jupiter return. And that's really where they start to have like their own opinions, their own beliefs, their own values. Like they've kind of assessed things. And now like they're saying things to you that you're like, I didn't teach them that. Like, why do they think that way? That's not how the whole family thinks. It usually comes down to their Jupiter placement. And then Saturn, we got to take a moment to honor Saturn. Tough love, dad, Saturn. Now, first thing I'm going to say is you're not your child's Saturn. So do not come in and start teaching them the lessons that this planet will teach them, because this is lifelong lessons. Each one of us has a Saturn placement in our birth chart. It is what our soul signed up to learn in this lifetime. It will be the hardest lessons, the hardest obstacles, our most likely challenges, roadblocks, struggles, frustrations. Saturn is here to grow us, to mature us, and it will grow your child. It will mature your child. But if you step in as their Saturn and you try to save them from their lessons, I guarantee that lesson will get more and more challenging later in their life. They have to learn their Saturn lessons on their own. We all do. And so this planet, this placement in our chart helps us take responsibility. It helps us evolve. It helps us understand that we can do hard things. We can be committed and disciplined to certain things, and the rewards will pay off. And so in your child's chart, this placement helps parents, I see it all the time, have peace with a lot of things going on in their child's life. If their child has a lot of health issues, they most likely have a Saturn in the sixth house or in Virgo, some of the placements that indicate health in the physical body. If your child really struggles with friendship and connecting with people, they may have a Saturn in Libra or in the seventh house or the 11th house. These are all things that indicate like what your child is having to experience, because if we just came to Earth School and it was rainbows and butterflies, our soul would never evolve. We just do the same thing over and over again because it's fun and amazing. Saturn is like, you're here to grow. You're here to overcome obstacles, to remember who you are and that you can do hard things. So I love talking about this. And again, in the course, we're going to go so deep into your child's Saturn placement and give you so much more awareness on what this is going to look like for your child as they grow up. And we're going to return back to Saturn in just a moment because it's kind of a big deal. And then we have our generational planets. Now, I don't really go too much into this right now or in one-on-one readings, but it is important. Your child will have a Uranus. They're meant to rebel and shake up the world in a unique way. If each one of us does our Uranus rebel kind of revolutionary energy, we will move the collective and Earth forward. And it looks different for everyone. And each one of us is meant to be a little delusional, a little optimistic, and put rose-colored glasses on and dream in a certain way. And each one of us is meant to overcome our fears and to stand in our pain and overcome some of the hard, sticky, icky things in life. And that is your child's Pluto. These are generational planets. Okay. They're far away from us on Earth. They do impact us, but they impact us over time. So children born in about a 15-year, 20-year cycle will all be born with the same Pluto. So we'll talk about that again in the course, but like our Gen X, Gen Z, all of these types of generations, they're Pluto cycles. So Gen Xers are all born with a certain Pluto placement. Just it shows up in different areas of our chart based on our rising sign. Lastly, we're going to talk about Chiron placement. This is what I mentioned earlier, is the placement in your child's chart. It looks like a key, okay? And it is the key to unlocking your child's fears, triggers, traumas, wounds, the things that don't make sense. It's very subconscious, so they can heal and live their best life. Each one of us has to overcome our own Chiron wounds. And we get triggered with these wounds and they don't make sense. And then once we heal them, we move through it, it becomes the key to unlocking our soul's true happiness. And so when you know this young for your child, you can help guide them through some of these fears. I used the example at the beginning around children who may have a fear of water, how to help them overcome that, right? For that child, it's going to be facing their fear. So maybe it's just getting a little pool in the backyard. This actually was the case for my cousin, my youngest cousin. He terrified of water. He lives in Germany, terrified of water. He came to Florida and he was, by the time we were done in his 2-week vacation, he was rocking and playing in the ocean, jumping in the waves. And his mom was like, who is this kid? Like, he's 7 years old, has been terrified of water. Look at him now. He was moving through this Chiron fear. And so this is a way that you can honor that in your child and move them through some of these. For example, my Chiron, it's in Gemini. So if you're born around 1983, 84 until about 1990, you were born with Chiron in Gemini. Fear of speaking up, expressing your truth, being on stage, showcasing your talents through conversation. I would never raise my hand in class. I was terrified to public speak. Look at me now, unlocking my soul's true potential. So your child has that same placement. Okay. Getting into the final things. I know we're getting to the 1 hour mark, so stick with me real quick. Your child's south and north node are going to indicate their destiny. This is going to take an entire course, entire module to dive in. But your child has their north node. So this placement in their chart, this little symbol, it looks like a horseshoe, is what your child is here to practice in this lifetime. They are here to evolve and become that energy. And opposite in their chart, you're going to notice the south node is the upside down horseshoe. And this indicates their natural skills, their natural tendencies. And so I want to kind of circle into this for a second, because as your child is born, they are actually born their south node zodiac sign first. We're born from a past life energy. We come into this lifetime with natural tendencies, skills, preferences, what we've mastered in previous lifetimes. We've got kind of this energetic blueprint that we come in with our south node. So babies are born their south node first. And as they start growing and evolving, age 3, 4, 5, 6, They're going to start putting on their rising sign, how they dress, how they want to appear. They're going to start dancing into their preferences and their views on life as they're trying to figure out what life looks like for them. And then at age 7, your child will grow into their sun sign. So what we started out with, your child's sun sign, how they shine and how they radiate, starts to come alive at age 7. You will see how they will literally just start to radiate and move into this new phase. And then eventually, as we get older, we move towards our North Node, the North Star. Now, your North Star might be in the same area of the sky as your sun sign. And if that's the case, you took a cheat sheet route, you accelerated forward. But for most of us, our North Node placement is in a foreign area of the chart. There's no other planets nearby. And so your child, helping them foster this North Node at a very young age will help them move towards what their soul signed up to do in this lifetime. My example, North Node in Aries. As a child, I just wanted to be in partnerships. I wanted to be in relationships. I started dating very young. Had my parents helped foster my Aries North Node at a young age to be independent, to be self-sufficient, to do all the things for myself first and then pour into others, it wouldn't have taken me to age almost 40 to figure that out, right? But it was just these little moments. And then on my journey, I got there eventually, right? We all do, but it's the assistance. You're the guide to your child, right? This is their birth chart. You can guide them. So the last thing that we're going to talk about today is recognizing the growth and the development of your child and how astrology can understand this. So everything we talked about so far deals with looking at your child's blueprint, looking at that birth chart as an instruction manual to who they are and how they operate and what they need from you, how to move them through life. But while that's all happening, remember I said at the beginning, the chart moves. All the planets are in constant motion. And that's where we look at transits and current astrology and forecasting. Your child is born at that exact date, place, and time. That's the moment the cycle begins. Everything starts moving and affecting them. At age 2 is the first major transit that we see. At age 2, their Mars, remember their chi, their vitality, their stamina, will return back to where it was on the date of your child being born. And this is called your Mars return. Now, remember, Mars is the temper tantrums. It's the motivation. It's the aggression. It's the outbursts. It's all of that like chi, terrible twos. Terrible twos happens because your child is going through a Mars return. And so again, understanding this, what motivates them and how to calm their temper tantrums and what it is that they're trying to communicate through their outbursts. That's what we see very often. And this cycles every 2 years. So understanding when your child's about to go through a Mars return, it's about a 6-week period where it really gets hot and heavy. Now, Saturn. I said we'd circle back to Saturn. And this is so incredible when you think about it broad spectrum as a parent. Saturn is that planet that I mentioned will teach your child hard lessons. It's helping them grow. It's helping them take on more responsibility. It's helping them mature. And Saturn comes back to where he was when your child was born, when they turn about age 28, 29. We call it our Saturn return. You're into astrology, you already know about your Saturn return. But what happens between age 0 and age 28, 29, when your Saturn return happens, Saturn's moving around your child's chart. Saturn is teaching your child lessons as they develop, as they grow, and as they mature. And the first activation is what we call your child's Saturn square at age 7. And we see children at age 7 want to take on more responsibilities. They shift in kind of their growth cycle. They grow really quickly, right? And Saturn rules the bones. And so this is where we see children kind of shoot up, their bones start to develop, they get taller, like they're going through a growth and mature phase. At age 14 is the first Saturn opposition, halfway to a child's Saturn return. This is where a child really gets mature in their mind, right? They're feeling like the Saturn opposition. It's furthest from where it was when that child was born, opposite in the sky. And that's where a child really thinks that they're a grown-up. We start to see this, right? The teenage years. They think they know everything. They're, growing and learning and maturing. They're wanting to take on more responsibility. It's usually where children start to want to get a job or make money. They think they're too cool for school. Like they think they're little mini adults. Saturn opposition. And there's lessons to learn around this. And then the second Saturn square happens at age 21. And that is really where we start to mature. It's where children move out, they get jobs, they have more commitments, they get into relationships, all that Saturn maturing stuff where challenges and obstacles and lessons are being thrown at them. And then the Saturn return happens at age 28. At 19, your child will go through its first nodal return. Such a major pivotal moment. If your child is not 19 yet, I'm so grateful you're here today, because that is usually where we see children start to be called towards their path. This is where a lot of kind of children's courses get veered off track, because people are impressing upon them what they should do. Go to college, not go to college, get a job, travel the world, like whatever it is, we start to imprint what they should do instead of looking at their birth chart, because at 19, they're going to be called to that north node. It's their first nodal return, their destiny, what their soul came here to practice and try on for size. Knowing this is going to help guide your child in the right path before they circle back for their second nodal return, which happens at about age 36. So this often happens. Children will go down a path, and then at 35, 36, they're like, I don't want to do this. I hate this job. Why did I go to college? Or why did I move across the country? Or why did I get into this relationship? It's like they got off track, and, we circle back. We can't mess up this lifetime. We can't mess it up. So as a parent, you are not messing it up. You're just learning, and your child is learning. And without even you helping them in their birth chart, it's still going to happen to them. You're just fostering their growth and giving awareness. And again, language. It's about the language of understanding what is going on here on an energetic level and in the relationship between you two. So we've made it to the end of all of that. I am now going to just share with you guys, I've already hinted at it, my baby, the thing that I have been birthing and creating. Today's the day. And I am freaking the hell out. Like, I cannot believe this is happening. 3 years in the making, 10 years of working with parents, working one-on-one in sessions, and literally hundreds of hours of my Virgo perfectionism. We are today officially going to start enrollment for the Astrology for Parents course, because all the things I shared with you, I could dive in so much deeper. We would literally be here for hours. And you don't need to hear me talk about a child's Mercury in Virgo if your child has a Mercury in Leo. And you don't need to sit here while I'm talking about, something that doesn't apply to your child's chart. You're busy, your parents, we're going to dive into exactly what you need. I have scoured the internet for 5 years trying to see what other astrologers are doing for parents to get ideas. I want to do things differently than other astrologers. That Scorpio rising. I want to rebel and do things a little unconventional. And I couldn't find anything. I literally could find nothing. So I have been building out this course to be the #1 tool for conscious parents, to dive in deep to 15 different placements in your child's chart, where you're going to have like timestamps, and you're going to be able to go exactly to each module of your child's placement. If you have more than one child, this will be so great, because you're going to be able to learn side by side, or you can go through the whole course for one kid at a time. It's going to give you the tools that you need. Understand their energetic blueprint, skip all those daily battles and frustrations, and just feel more connected to your child. So the day is here. Let me give you some of the details. I'm just going to share some really quick things. The purpose and the intention of me creating this course was a couple different reasons. And this has come up over time, working with children, working with parents, working with families, me using this in my own life with my godchild and friends who have children, and my cousins and everyone that I come across that has a child. And so really my goal is to help you tailor your parenting approach and to understand your child's unique personality, to guide them in a way that is in alignment with who their soul signed up to be, and to ultimately help them showcase their talents early in life, to know exactly what hobbies to put them in, to know exactly what it is that's going to foster their growth. So you're not just guessing. I see this a lot where parents will ultimately put their kids in 5 extracurriculars, and none of them really honor what the child would really, really be good at, right? And so again, there's no bad things. The child's learning, but there could be something 10 times better. And it's also going to help you understand their unique circumstances in life when things are happening up, why they're having health issues, timings that they might have things come up in their life, how the siblings connect with each other. This is so important. Sibling rivalries, sibling struggles, especially as they get older and they each kind of go off into their own path, how to ensure that your children always stay connected to each other, even after you're gone. I think this is a parent's massive wish. supporting them, in the bond with you or your significant other family members, like, oh, so many things. So let me give you a little sneak peek. This is what it's going to kind of look like. You're going to have modules for each of the placements that we talked about today. So for your child's Mars sign, we're going to go into what are they passionate about, some of their decision-making styles, how they make decisions in life, what's going to motivate them to say yes or no to things, their natural energy levels and how to foster their energy, how they're going to take action, again, their chores, how to motivate them to do things, their temper tantrum style, like so much information. When it comes to their sun sign, again, you're going to learn about their temperament, their mood, their preferences, their personality, how to keep them shining and radiating, the best parenting tips for sun sign placements. I gave you a little highlight of that earlier with the examples. Here's an example of your Jupiter, where they're going to overindulge, where they're going to do too much in this lifetime, what they have to learn about control and moderation, how to support them in growth, some of their beliefs or perspectives they'll have, how they're going to gain a lot of fortune, good fortune, and good luck. I mean, oh my gosh, you guys, by the end of this course, you're going to be like mind blown. And it's way more than I could ever do in a one-on-one session. So that was something that was important to me as I was creating the course, is making sure that by the time you're done, it's 10 times more valuable than what a one-on-one session could do. And I wanted it to be self-paced because you're busy, right? 1 hour with me in a session is not enough. You're still going to have questions. You're going to want more examples. I see this a lot, especially when I do couples compatibility. I'm going to teach you something about your child's chart, and it's not going to make sense until a circumstance or a situation presents itself. So for example, when I talk about your child having a temper tantrum, you're not going to actually know what to do about it until your child has their next temper tantrum. Or something might come up in their life and you're like, oh, I wonder if their birth chart could explain that. Or I wonder like what that means. You're going to be able to go back and look at all these modules and learn that specific thing about your child versus having to come back to me for another reading and another question. So much here, so much value. Again, Virgo here, hundreds of hours of perfecting this. So it's going to be 13 self-paced modules of everything that we talked about today, and another bonus 2 modules on your child's master and missing element and their life cycles, their development cycles. You're going to have access to a private Telegram group that's just for the Astrology for Parents or Caretakers course. That place you can come in at any point in time while you're going through the modules to ask questions. Maybe you need more clarification. I'll be posting more education and information for parents, resources. It's kind of your place to plug in and play and have some direct access to me while you're going through the modules and doing it at your own pace, because I know you're busy. And you're going to have the Master and Missing Elements section. And because I know so many of you are learning still about astrology, we had some questions today around like, what is my child's sun sign? Or what does Aquarius mean? Or you said the second house is the money house. What does that mean? I've gifted you in this course, the Astrology 101 course. So not only are you going to learn about your child's chart, but you're going to become little mini astrologers. You're going to learn about all the astrology basics. You're going to be able to understand your child's chart, your chart better. You're going to be able to understand your partner, the people in your family's charts. Like, you're just literally diving into this language and resource and tool that is monumental. And because we're launching it for the first time, I was like, I got to give some goodies away to my OGs, those of you who are here in this time, in this space, in this moment with me. So I'm going to do a founder's family rate, some bonuses and some goodies for you. So our class is going to start May 5th. Here's what it's going to look like. Starting on May 5th, the first 3 modules will drop. You will have the entire week to dive into your child's placements, to look through the modules, and the following Monday, the next 3 will drop. This will go through the month of May. If you can't get to it, don't worry. You will have lifetime access to this course. So if you're like, I want this, May is so busy for me, don't worry about it. You can get all the bonuses, come back to it whenever you want. If I ever update the modules, if I ever add more to it, you will have lifetime access for all of that. This is just like my little love gift to you for being here in this moment. And it's also going to come with a special pricing. So we're going to launch it with a certain price point, and then I'm going to raise that price point in June. So when all the modules are uploaded, the course is complete, like we're here, we're ready, the price point will go up. Another fun thing that I've decided that we're going to do for this beginning season is 2 live bonus calls. So those are already scheduled. You'll see them when you get the email. You'll get on live with me and I'll go through your child's chart. You have more questions you want to ask me about specifics, you will get an opportunity to have your child's chart read by me one-on-one in those bonus calls and have more information understanding the modules. And of course, when the course is done, you will have access to discounted readings from me for completing the course. So that could be family sessions, it could be compatibility with your child, it could be more one-on-one stuff if timing and like your child's going to college or whatever, you will have a discount code to use for all family sessions. But wait, let me give you one more thing. If you're still with me, I'm so glad you're here because in 72 hours, these bonuses are going to expire. If you're catching the replay, yay, so proud of you for watching this within 72 hours. I decided I'm going to sweeten the deal a little bit because you're saying yes to your child and you're saying yes to changing the world. Because every time we help a child thrive and come into their skills and come into their talents, we are literally honoring what their soul's mission was in this lifetime. And that's truly my freaking passion. Like Astro Auntie here. Like we are changing the world by changing the way in which we parent our children. And so if you sign up by midnight on Sunday, you're going to get access to a private one-on-one Telegram day with me. So when you're done with the course, you send me a message and say, I completed the course. I'm ready for my one-on-one day. And one-on-one, we will have our own private chat where we can go through what you learned. You can ask more questions. Maybe you want to ask questions about your own chart. Maybe you want to ask questions about the relationship with the other parent and how that's affecting your child. Whatever you want, you'll have one day access to me at the end of the course. And you're going to be able to come into our daily Astro Weather Report. And we have 15 workshops already in there every single day in the month of May. You're going to be able to know what's going on in the current astrology. You'll learn more about astrology. You'll get to hang out with other parents who are into astrology. And I'm also going to send over right away the astrology parenting cheat sheets. So you can already start going in and getting some ideas about your child, like immediately in a worksheet. So when you get to the modules, you get to the modules, but like what we did today, you have examples and you're going to be able to immediately start knowing how to motivate your child. And then you can go watch the module in May when it's launched and get more details because I want to give you something right away. And so if you enroll in 72 hours, you will get those cheat sheets emailed right over. And lastly, too, the Astrology 101 course is already uploaded. It's sitting there. It is waiting for you to start diving in. So if you sign up, you don't have to wait till May 5th. You can start right away this weekend. So that's waiting for you. So that's it for today. I'm going to share just like a couple of my favorite client wins so you can kind of see if this would apply to you or if this would help. Estranged parent-child relationships is something that I did not have on my astrologer bingo card. I had parents come to me that are saying they don't speak to their children cut them out of their lives, they don't know what to do. And trust me, when you understand your child's chart, you understand how they need to be heard, how they need to be seen, how they need to be recognized, how they need to be loved. And this is usually what's missing because remember, as souls, we grow up and we tap into our birth chart even deeper. And then we start to push away or repel energies, relationships that don't line up, that aren't aligning with our soul's blueprint. And so this is at no fault to anyone, but this is what happens in romantic relationships. This is what happens with parents or friendships. As we age, we start to repel the relationships that don't honor our soul's blueprint. So I've worked with a lot of parents that have kind of really repaired relationships with their children by energetically showing up in different ways. And then newborns. Like I have a little niece or nephew on the way. I'm about to be an aunt. You best believe I've already had conversations with my brother and my sister-in-law about that child's birth chart. It is due 2 days after the eclipse in September. And I was like, it's going to be an eclipse baby. It's probably going to come around the eclipse. Eclipses affect water. Babies are mostly born around like the eclipse seasons. And I'm like, all right, it's going to be this sign, this placement. We better get ready. It's going to be a quadruple Virgo, probably with a Mars and Scorpio. Like we're already mentally preparing. And if it changes by a day or two, we'll adjust. But we got to know what to do here, what kind of toys to buy the kid, what kind of preferences they might have in their nursery as far as like music or lighting or colors. Like I love this when we get to do it for newborns. And sibling scenarios. I mean, I've had a couple situations where the siblings were just literally going at each other and they weren't getting what they each needed. So they were kind of fighting each other for this recognition. And when the parents came in and treated each one differently, it actually changed the dynamic between the siblings. So, I mean, I could go on and on. There's so many amazing wins that I've had. Again, I've been doing this for 10 years with parents, and I love it so much. So, with that, just imagine by the time school is out, your parenting is in full swing. You could have this summer run a lot smoother. You can make your parenting 10 times easier and be more aligned with your kiddo. You're going to have ways in which energetically you can show up this summer, create better memories. Maybe the school year next year, there's ways in which you want to adjust their schooling. Maybe there's different trips that you want to take them on based on some of their unique talents or skills. Like, we could literally alter your child's summer for you and your whole family just through some of the things you're going to learn in this course. So that's it. If you've made it to the end, I would love to ask and answer any questions that you have. You can ask them in the chat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. So if you're asking personal questions about your child, don't worry, this isn't going to go out on the internet. So let me go ahead and hit pause on that. If you have questions, hang out with me for a few minutes longer, and we will go through some of your questions. And it can be around anything. Oh, how much is the course? Great question. I guess I didn't even say that. So the course is going to be $444, and you can do payments. You can do 2 payments with that. Again, you'll have the lifetime access. You're going to get the Astrology 101 course included, which is $111. So you'll get access to both of those courses for that price. And I wanted to do it in a way where you're going to get so much value. And again, save yourself on multiple readings with me for multiple children. So that great question. Let me hit pause on the recording. Throw any more things at me with your kiddo.